puja. And just like that, we are on to the third night, the last night. And we've spoken about different things in the previous nights, so I'll have a test at the end today. But I should have told you before, you would have studied. But for today, let's begin by doing Aarti. We all stand together and we invite Ganapati Swami into our hearts, into our minds, to remain there, to bless us always. Sajam chavarti samyuktam vahmina yojitam maya Deepam grahana devesha trailokya timirapaha Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahadeva
Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahadeva
Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahadeva
Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha, Jai Ganesha Deva Mata Jaki Parvati Pita Mahadeva
Ek dant dayavant char bhujadhari
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 माथे पे सिंदूर सोहे मूषक की सवारी
माथे पे सिंदूर सोहे मूसे की सवारी
जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा
जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा
पान चढ़े फूल चढ़े और चढ़े मेवा
पान चढ़े फूल चढ़े और चढ़े मेवा
लदुवन का भोग लगे संत कर सेवा
लदुवन का भोग लगे संत कर सेवा
जय गणेश
जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा राजा की पार्वती सीता महादेवा
माता जाकी पार्वती
सीता महादेवा
दीनन को लाज रखो शंभु सुतकारी
दीनन को लाज रखो शंभु दुर्नारी
दीनन को लाज रखो शंभु सुतकारी
दीनन को लाज रखो शंभु तुझकारी
कामना को पूर्ण करो जाऊ बलिहारी
कामना को पूर्ण करो जाऊ बलिहारी
जय गणेश
जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा
जय गणेश
जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा
माता जाकी पार्वती पिता महादेवा
माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा
रिधि सिद्धि करी बदन श्री गणपति महाराज प्रथम मन है आपको पूर्ण की जयकार सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते कर्पूरगौरं करुणावतारं संसारसारं सदा वसन्तं हृदयारविन्दे भवं भवानी सहितं नमामि। जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा जय गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा। माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा माता जागी पार्वती पिता महादेवा। प्रेम से बोल श्री महागणपति स्वामी की। Om. Please take your seats comfortably. We will now continue to recite from the Narad Puran Sankatanashan Ganesh Stotram, because the opportunity we have today to sit together and pray together so that all of these difficulties that we have, all of these doubts that we have, that they are removed. But before beginning in that, I ask that we put our hands together, sit upright, let that spine be straight, let the energy flow, may our love blossom. गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपितजम्बूफलचारुभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारकं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पादपङ्कजम्। ॐ वक्रतुण्डाय हुं श्री गणेशाय नमः। To his divine mother, सर्वमङ्गलमाङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थसाधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बिके गौरी नारायणी नमोस्तुते। ॐ ऐं ह्रीं क्लीं चामुण्डाय विच्छे। To Shankar Bhagwan we offer these flowers. नागेन्द्रहाराय त्रिलोचनाय भस्मांगरागाय महेश्वराय नित्याय शुद्धाय दिगंबराय तस्मै नकाराय नमः शिवाय। हर नमः पार्वती पतये हर 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 महादेव। We pay obeisance and bow to the feet of our gurus. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha। Om Shri Guru Maharaj Ki Jai। We ask Bhagwan, that form of Vinayak, to remove difficulties from our path. Vinayaka, Vinayaka, Gauri Putram Vinayaka, Vinayaka, Vinayaka,
Gauri Putram Vinayaka,
Vinayaka, प्रणम्य शिरसा देवं गौरीपुत्रं विनायकं भक्तावासं स्मरे नित्यम् आयुः कामात् सिद्धये प्रथमं वक्रतुण्डं च एकदन्तं द्वितीयकं तृतीयं कृष्णपिङ्गाक्षं गजवक्त्रं चतुर्थकं विनायका
विनायका गौरीपुत्रं विनायका 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 गौरीपुत्रं विनायका
विनायका विनायका विनायका विनायका गौरीपुत्रं विनायका गौरीपुत्रं विनायका लम्बोदरं पञ्चमं च सप्तमं षष्ठं विकतमेव च सप्तमं विघ्नराजेन्द्रं धूम्रवर्णं तथाष्टकं नवमं भालचन्द्रं च दशमं तु विनायकम् एकादशं गणपतिं द्वादशं तु गजाननं विनायका विनायका गौरीपुत्रं
विनायका
विनायका विनायका
गौरीपुत्रं विनायका
विनायका विनायका विनायका विनायका गौरीपुत्रं विनायका गौरीपुत्रं विनायका गौरीपुत्रं विनायका द्वादशैतानि नामानि सन्ध्यम्य पते नरः न च विघ्नं भयं तस्य सर्वसिद्धिकरं प्रभु विद्यार्थी लभते विद्यां धनार्थी लभते धनं पुत्रार्थी लभते पुत्रान् मोक्षार्थी लभते गतिं जपेत् गणपति स्तोत्रं षड्भिर्मासौ फलं लभेत् संवत्सरेण सिद्धं च लभते नात्रय संशयः अष्टभ्यो ब्राह्मणेभ्यश्च लिखित्वा यः समर्पयेत् तस्य विद्या भवेत् सर्वा गणेशस्य प्रसादतः इति श्री नारद पुराण संकतनाशन गणेश स्तोत्रम संपूर्णम। प्रेम से बोलो श्री गणेश भगवान की जय। Before we begin today, Thursday, that Jagat Guru, Shankar Bhagwan, Neela, can we have a nice bhajan, chant, dedicated to Shivji Bhagwan? Let us pray together.
नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिव नमो हर हर नमो शंकर शिव नटराजा शंकर शिव नटराजा शंकर शिव नटराजा शंकर शिव नटराजा 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 नतन शिखरा राजा नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा नमः पार्वती पते हर हर 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 महादेवा हर 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 देवा हर 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 महादेवा हर 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 महादेवा नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिव शिव नमो हर हर नमो 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 शंकर शिव नटराजा शंकर शिव नटराजा 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 नतन शिखरा राजा नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा नमः पार्वती पते हर हर 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 महादेवा हर 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 महादेवा ओम हर 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 महादेवा हर 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 महादेवा राजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा राजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा शिवराजा शिवराजा नतन शिखरा राजा नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा नटराजा नटराजा नतन शिखरा राजा
प्रेम से बोलो श्री उमापति महादेव की जय. Little revision from last night. Do you remember the name of the king? Somakant. Do you remember his Dulhan's name? Su To dharma. Very nice. We continue with that katha tonight. And it brings us to a wonderful understanding of our life and how we should live it. Why do bad things happen to good people? It's a theme that I selected, but there are other themes that came to me while I was reading today. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah Ganapati Bappa Moria. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah Ganapati Bappa Moria. Kolahag Nagare Ramye Vindhyajala Pitah Chidhur iti Vikyato Vaishyo Bahano Bhava. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah Ganapati Bappa Moria. Tasya Bharya tu Subhaga Namna Khyatha Fulochana Sushila Danashila Cha Pativakya Parasati. Tasya Swastam Putratam Yatu Bhave Purvinottamam Kamanda iti te nama Chakrustau Dijaderitau. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah Ganapati Bappa Moria. Tato Bahuti Kale Pancha Bhaga Kita Pita Mata Tava Sati Tena Sahadagda Divam Gata. Tatastvam Sukhi Khau Tatastvam Sakhi Hauradravyam Nashivana Tita Bahu Nitam Nashtam Bhakshitancha Vinashakadidhana. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah Ganapati Bappa Moria. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Ganapati Bappa Moria. Prem se bol Shri Ganesh Bhagwan ki. Somakant went into the forest. As we described yesterday, why did he go? Because his body became such that he did not think he could be in public with other people. Remember, I told you that there were very, very graphic descriptions of the state of his body. Importantly, however, he didn't go by himself. The Dulhan, Sudharma, was not a dry weather Dulhan. When I say that, you know what I mean. In other words, in this time of his adversity and difficulty, she remembered her vow and she made sure she was with him. In that difficult time that he was going through, he was a good person all of his life. Remember, we said the katha yesterday. And at this point in time now, this was happening to him. She could not have abandoned him. So when they went into the forest, they met with Bhrigu Rishi. And Bhrigu was asked by Somakant, look at me, I have been doing good things all of my life. My life has been one of seva to the people. Yet look at this condition that I am. I can't even begin to tell you the description in the Puran. You would probably not eat for a week. Bhrigu said, sit down, let me tell you what happened, so you will understand what has happened with you. In a beautiful city called Kolahar, near the Vindhya mountains, in India, obviously, there was a famous Vaishya, a merchant whose name was Chidarupa. And Chidarupa was very wealthy. He had a wife, her name was Atisubhaga. These are names that will come and go very quickly. So I don't need you necessarily to remember them, but sometimes you might be looking for a name for a little child. These are names that you could remember. Atisubhaga. How nicely that sounds. And they were very virtuous, and they had a son. The son's name was Kamand. Now that is a name you're going to hear more. And you were that Kamand. In that lifetime, you were Kamand. And your parents became senile and they became old. And they showered still, however, excess of affection onto you, and they loved you with all of their heart. And after a while, they got you married to a beautiful woman whose name was Kutumbini. I'm saying these names so you would know names, you would hear these names. I heard this in the Ganesh Puran at some point in time. Atisubhaga, Kutumbini. There's great depth, and we don't have the time to discuss what Kutumbini means. But Kamand had children with Kutumbini, 5 daughters and 7 sons. After a long time, your father died, Briguri, she said, and your mother couldn't live without him, so she performed sati and went together with him. Now, I want to pause. I may have discussed it before, but the tradition of sati is not prescribed in our books. It is something that people in a patriarchal society thought, I don't want to have to look after the daughter-in-law. And it happens even up to now. Don't give the son anything, because if anything happened to him, he will go to the daughter-in-law and she'll get married to somebody else. So it started from there. So easy thing, if something happens, let them go. Because they name it Sati, but Sati Mata didn't do that. Nevertheless, different discussion. So the mother went, what was her name? The nice name I said, Atisubhaga. She went together with her Dulaha, Chidarupa. After he had died, they both went and they left you with all of this wealth. And what did you do? Well, you called your friends and you spent out the money, and you had everything, you spent it on all kind of nonsense. Your wife came and told you, listen, I'm getting a little anxious about what is going on here. She wanted to divorce you. You ignored her command. You sold the house. You let her leave with the children. And you became so arrogant. You became so arrogant and intoxicated with yourself. You were like a drunkard walking all over the place, acting improperly with everybody, stealing from people, with other women. They go into descriptions, I can't go into it. You took other people's property. You were a thief in the villages. You were a troublemaker. You stole from the townspeople, and every possible pretext you could have, you began to just steal wealth and amass it. The description of who Kamanda was is an amalgamation of all the negative things that we hear about people in society. You were like a highly venomous snake. When people saw you, they started to run the next side. And when it became unbearable, they put you out of the city. You went to live in a cave. Pokutumbini's father, he don't know what to do with his daughter and 12 children, 12 grandchildren. So he sent them back with you. And they were living in the cave with you. And every day you stealing together with all of your thieving friends. And you brought it back, and then you shared the wealth, and you shared your bad habits with your wife, Kutumbini, and the 12 children. And if that wasn't enough, one day, on one occasion, you saw a Brahman coming. His name is Gunavardhan. And he was alone in the middle of the road in midday. And you held on to his hand, you held on to that Brahman's hand. And he began to tremble and beg, please let me go, please let me go. I have a wife and children at home. They are there waiting for me. Gunavardhan said, you have good fortune and wealth, you have everything you need. Why do you wish to harm me? Don't rob a Brahman. Don't, especially a practicing Brahman like this. This is a very big sin that you're going to commit. My whole family depends upon me. If you were to do this, if you were to harm me, do you know what is going to happen to you? And Bhrigu said, when Gunavardhan said these words, what do you think was the response of Kamanda? You would think that if someone is in front of you begging for their life, that your heart would melt and you would say, go. But Kamanda had become so full of himself that he could see no pain in anyone else. And here's what he said, it is useless for you to try to plead with me, you know. It is useless. What money do you have? What do you have to give to me? And just as how you remember earlier in the week we spoke about how important life is and how we should cherish it and ensure that the doorkeeper is in front of us to make sure we have positivity in our heart and our minds. And we spoke about what was worth dying for. We spoke about that on Tuesday. We now live in a society where $5, $500, $1,000 is what a person's life is worth. We now live in that society. So what was happening with Gunavardhan and Kamanda thousands of years ago is what we are living today. And all of the things that he did still exists today. Through the power of faith, you know, when we are a bad person, we can justify anything. If we're doing something wrong, we can justify anything. I'm not saying that it is wrong if you want to reach to work on time and you drive on the shoulder. I'm not saying anything about that. I'm not judging you today. But we can justify why we're doing it. Look, them doing it too. Nobody catching them. So we can justify it. Well, I have to reach and everybody's sitting down there and look at that man park and the car. So we can justify anything. So in the same way, Gunavardhan, pleading for his life, Kamand justifies, well, God bring you to me. And therefore, if God has brought you to me, then this is supposed to be your destiny. And the description of how he brought Gunavardhan's life to an end is too graphic for me to tell you. But just as how we see in society what happens is exactly what was happening in this katha. The same way life has no meaning for anybody else. All I could think of. And you know, people justify it. Well, you know, pandemic, whatever, everybody lost their job. Yes, okay, sure. I did speak on Sunday about we can't judge people unless we've walked in their shoes. But at the same time, we can expect to live a life where we don't have to be scared to go into the car, scared to come to Mandir. Did you see in the newspaper today, Pandit Ramsamir said 20% at least of his following in the Mandir are scared to come to Mandir in the night for Ganesh Ji Puja. We have so many people here. We have to make sure we have security outside. Bhagwan is with us. Raksha Raksha Ganadhyaksha Raksha Trailokya Rakshaka Bhaktavasam Smaram Karta Trata Bhav Bhavarnava. That prayer is for your safety. Dvai Mathur Kripa Sindhu Shan Mathur Thagraja Vararastham Varandehi Vanchitam Vanchitharthadam Om Vighneshwaraya Namaha. We pray for your safety. This prayer is for your safety. May God protect you. Raksha Raksha Ganadhyaksha. And like that, he brought Gunavardhan's life to an end. And after a long time of living like this, Kamanda lost his life. And in your heart, Kamanda, before passing, you had a sharp pain caused by your own bad mind, by your own bad thoughts. And you pondered before dying, what's going to happen to all of this wealth? What's going to happen to my children? Are they going to spend it out? And after you thought about it and you thought about it, one thing you did. There was an old Ganesh Ji temple in the village. And you went before passing and you made sure that you rebuilt that mandir. So all of the bad things you did, whatever it was that made you to do what you did next, you took some of your money, ill-begotten gains, and you rebuilt a mandir. The temple was long, broad, had beautiful doorways. You installed a beautiful Ganesh Ji in it. And that Ganesh Ji was well ordained, had beautiful clothing. You built a little courtyard. It was filled with many flowering trees, many plants to do puja. We spoke about that yesterday. You can't do puja unless you have your flowers. Well, you could. We do Manas Puja so often. But for some people, it becomes an excuse. Well, God said I could just give a fruit, a flower, or even water, so I don't need to go to the puja store. Baba, here, hold puja. Here's a lota of water. Go ahead. Remember what I said yesterday. The puja starts before you even sit down in the puja room. Getting these things together, thinking lovingly. He built a beautiful courtyard with a lovely pond, lovely water, kamal ke phool planted inside of it, the lotus, lovely flowers around to do puja. And because you had renovated this temple, some of your wealth was removed. And your wife, seeing you in this state and realizing you were no longer providing, left you. Your 12 children left you. You were left alone. And after a short time, you came to your end. And Yam Devata came. I'm saying it in English. I'm not reading the Sanskrit. I will read part of it in Sanskrit later on. Because I need for you to understand and hear the story. There's a lot to talk about in this katha. And Yam Devata came riding on his buffalo, and he says to you, to your soul as is being pulled from your body, that last pran leaving, where am I to send you? How am I to send this soul that has done so much? What am I to do? And you said, in my lifetime I've done a lot of bad things, but I have a little bit of merit from building that puja, that temple. And it comes to the establishment and the understanding of what do we in Sanatana Dharma believe as to what happens when we die. Do we go to heaven? Do we go to hell? What is heaven? Is that our ultimate goal? But I know for those of us who come to the mandir regularly, we know heaven is just a temporary state. Heaven is just a temporary state where we go and we utilize all of the good karma that we had, and then we have to come back down afterwards to get rid of the bad karma that we have also created. Because for us, the ultimate reality is when we go back to where we came from, which is when our soul merges with that wonderful, delightful Paramatma, Brahman, absolute Brahman. That is what our goal is. Heaven is not our goal. Heaven is a little place set up. We've got offices, Indra Devata, you've got Vayu Devata, you've got all of these officers operating and running creation, but they answer to some person. Krishna Bhagavan says in the Bhagavad Gita, they answer to me. So you were then born, and you came back now as a king, Somakant, because of that one act you did for Ganeshji. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Bhigu Uvacha Iti Tenoditam Vakyam Muhugarani Prakrivata Karunayutam Karanya Neda Bhinnam Hridam Tava Vajratam Sataram Kimnu Brahmana Tvai Nirmitam Hinsanad Bahujanutanna Manushyanam Srahasyaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Tato Brighu Kshanam Dhyatva Punastam Praha Bhupatim Atya Vihlo Dukham Vaiksham Tat Purvakam Mamarjamam Vakya Papa Nikar Raste Tu Vyaka Paya Kathita Maya Tatha Vyekam Brabhimata Tvam Padhyadinashanam. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, अष्टविनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया गणेशस्य पुराणं त्वं श्रोषसे यदि तत्परं तदैव मोक्षयस्ये दुःख सागरन्नत्र संशयः ॐ गं गणपतये
नमो नमः
सिद्धिविनायक नमो नमः अष्टविनायक नमो नमः गणपति बप्पा मोरया गणपति बप्पा मोरया गणपति बप्पा मोरया प्रेम से बोल गणेश भगवान की Somakant had doubts. What are you telling me? I am suffering like this because of some other lifetime that I don't know about? And it reminds me of the response of many people that I have heard. Well, I could live my best life now. When the time comes for me to pay, maybe I might be aware, maybe I won't be aware, maybe it might be my next life. So let me enjoy my moments now. I don't have to prepare for anything else. This is how now Somakant is thinking, wait a minute, how can I be going through this difficulty? You are saying I am in this state because of what I did last life. Shouldn't that have been cancelled somehow? Bhriguji said, sorry, excuse me, Jai Shri Ram. You have doubted my word. You will find now your pain is going to multiply. And why is that? Why is he saying that? Why is he being cruel? It is because, I remember a line when I was in Form 5. Wisdom cries out in the street, but no one heeds it. We come to Mandir, not like these people, those of us who are here, but many people go to Mandir, they go to places, they go for the wrong reason. We go to dress up. Let's see how we're looking nice tonight. Let's see who dressing how. Let's see who come in, yeah, see that person. So when we go, we are not taking on what the Katha is saying. And then we don't know how to live afterwards. We say, well, the Pandit spoke, but we don't know exactly what he said. What did he mean? Well, I wasn't really paying attention. I was watching the mosquito flying. So he is now doubting. And Bhrigu is saying, when a holy person like myself is speaking to you, pay attention. Don't have doubts. If you have doubts, sure, ask a question. But in the manner in which you are showing, your arrogance still is continuing. Somakant released himself and his arrogance and his pride, and he says, please tell me, what should I do? He put his hands together. I will tell you what is to be done. If you listen to the Ganesh Puran, Bhrigu says, you will be released from this ocean of misery. And from there, a beautiful, powerful scene happens. And I want to take us to a beautiful stotra to help us understand what is going on. Shri Ganesh Jai Ganesh Jai Ganesh Deva Shri Ganesh Jai Ganesh Jai Ganesh Deva
Shri Ganesh Jai Ganesh Jai Ganesh Deva Shri Ganesh Jai Ganesh Jai Ganesh Deva.
Bhrigu, that beautiful, wonderful, intelligent Rishi sang 108 names. Let us sing some. Mudakarat modakam sada vimukti sadhakam kaladharavatam sakam vilasi lokarakshakam anayakaikanayakam vinashite bhadaityakam natashudhashunashakam namamitam vinayakam Shri Ganesh Jaya Ganesh Jaya Ganesh Deva Shri Ganesh
जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा
नतेतराति भीकरं नवोरितार्कभास्वरं नमः सुरारि निर्जनं नताधिकापधुर्धुरं सुरेश्वरं निधीश्वरं गजेश्वरं गणेश्वरं महेश्वरं तमाश्रये परात्परं निरन्तरं श्री गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश
देवा
श्री गणेश जय गणेश
जय गणेश देवा
समस्त लोक शंकरं निरात दैत्य कुंजरं दरेतरोदरं वरं वरे भवत्र अक्षरं कृपाकरं क्षमाकरं मुदाकरं यशस्करं मनस्करं नमस्कृतां नमस्करोमि भास्वरं श्री गणेश जय गणेश
जय गणेश
ओहो
देवा
श्री गणेश जय गणेश
जय गणेश देवा
अकिञ्चनार्तिमार्जनं चिरान्तनोक्तिभाजनं पुरारिपूर्वनन्दनं सुरारिगर्वचर्वनं प्रपञ्चनाशभीषणं धनञ्जयादिभूषणं कपोलदानवारणं भजे पुराणवारणं श्रीगणेश जय गणेश
जय गणेश देवा
श्री गणेश जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा श्री गणेश जय गणेश
जय गणेश देवा
श्री गणेश
जय गणेश जय गणेश देवा
महागणेश पंचरत्न आदरेण योन्वहं प्रजलपति प्रभात के हृदि स्मरण गणेश्वरम् अरोगतामदोषतां सुसाहितिं सुपुत्रतां समाहिताय युष्टद हुतां युवैति सोचनां श्री गणेश जय गणेश देवा श्री गणेश जय गणेश देवा श्री गणेश जय गणेश
देवा
श्री गणेश जय गणेश देवा जय गणेश देवा जय गणेश देवा Reciting 108 names, he sprinkled water onto him. Reciting the prayer, Vighaneshwaraya Varadaya Surpriyaya Lambodharaya Sakalaya Jagadhitaya Nagananaya Shruti Yagya Vibhushitaya Gauri Sutaya Gananath Namo Namaste. And as he sprinkled the water, emerging from Somakant was a black ball being. When I read this again, I quoted on the first night, Lord of the Rings. It reminded me of the scene, The Lord of the Rings of Theoden, was it? Yes. It's exactly that scene. Exactly that scene is described here. Maybe they went and they took it from the Ganesh Puran. The small figure with a black face fell out of the ground from the nostrils, fell onto the ground and picked up its own life form. That is the darkness of ignorance. That is the tamasic qualities. That is pure evil that was still residing in Somakant, making him that way. Again, if you look at that movie, it's exactly like this, because the sores that Theoden had, the face and his lack of expression and so on, was exactly how this was. When you look at Dr. Strange and the multiverse, you know that is straight out of the Bhagavad. But that's another conversation about the different creations. Everywhere there are different creations running at the same time with different beings. Happened with Spider-Man too. I'm saying these things because we see it. We pay money to go and see these things that are being presented to us, and we, wonderful, what a great. The thing is, it is coming, I'm saying to you, from Sanatan Dharma thought and Vedic philosophy. The fact that there are universes existing in other places where there are life forms, that is what we talk about in Satyanarayana Swami Katha. When Narad Muni went from planet to planet looking to see all the different life forms before coming to Vishnu Bhagavan. There was life everywhere. There is life elsewhere. We are not alone. And so this being emanated, came out of, and was purged and exorcised from Somakant. And immediately his body began to heal. And the being that was there is a being that we all have to be careful of and look out for, because that being can overtake us. I'm not meaning to be mystical. I'm not meaning to be scary. That being is the negativity that we spoke about. And we tie it back to Tuesday. I didn't intend to. I didn't even think about it until now. That the same way we energize the negativity from the muck from our skin, we continue to energize that negativity within us until it overwhelms us, overcomes us, and our full potential cannot be realized because we keep keeping ourselves back by putting the wrong doorkeeper, Dwarpal, was it? Do you remember it now? Putting the wrong Dwarpal by our bodies, and instead letting everything else come into our mind and our heart except good things and positive things. And that is what happened with Somakant. But it came from his last lifetime as well. He brought that baggage with him, and it had to be purged by who? Bhrigu. Bhrigu Rishi, only a holy person can lead you to light. Asatoma sadgamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritam gamaya iti. We need someone like Bhrigu to help us to realize what has happened, to help us to realize that we have walked and trodden on the wrong path, to help purge us of the negativity which threatens to overwhelm us on a daily basis. And what does he do and how does he teach us? He says, listen to Ganesh Ji's Puran. Listen to the story. This is why you are here today. Because this is the essence of how you can get rid of ignorance. This is the essence of how you can lead to a happy life. It doesn't come from other things, because Somakant experienced that in his lifetime, in his last life. And you know, when you think about it, Sanatan Dharma, followers of Sanatan Dharma, one of the definitions given by the Supreme Court in India is that we as followers of Sanatan Dharma follow the Vedas. We are believers in the Vedas. And one of the crucial elements of Sanatan Dharma is the law of cause and effect, karma. And that is what regulates, that is the supreme law that regulates who we are, what our opportunities are, and how we can move forward. In the West, it is known as reincarnation. I find it to be a very violent word, because it comes from Latin, and incarnation, carnate, comes from carne, from the body, the flesh. So reincarnation means going back into the flesh. I prefer our word for it, which is punarjanam, which means to be born again. And we came up with Punarjanam, being born again, thousands of years ago. And many people have done studies on it. Reincarnation, coming back. When we come back, where were we before? And I was looking at one particular professor of psychiatry at the University of Virginia, the School of Medicine. His name is Dr. Ian Stevenson. He passed in 2007. And he found 3,000 examples of Punarjanam in his lifetime. He wrote a book on it. And the book was interesting for this reason, that he found and he studied children and he looked at their birthmarks. This was fascinating to me. He looked at their birthmarks. He went to one child. My mother will say, don't mark yourself. But he went to one child, and that child had a mark, a birthmark here, and one birthmark at the back of the head. And checking back, seeing the stories, relating, found out in the last life, the person left the life by being shot through the head. He found 43 out of 49 instances of those birthmarks on children. It is a study that is there. He shared it with the medical world. I can't remember the name of the book, but I will send you the name of the book. It is a written piece of scientific experimentation and study by the leader, one of the leading, he was a professor of psychiatry, as I say, at the University of Virginia. He interviewed 3 children who claimed to remember aspects of their previous lives, and 30 or 40 out of their statements, everything was correct. So reincarnation, Punarjanma, is real. And therefore, when Bhrigu Rishi is saying to Somakant, you are suffering now because of your last life, what you did, then we know that there is truth because we are now finding it out. There was one very famous example of a child. His name was James. I can't remember his last name. He was small, and his parents would be very concerned because he would get up with nightmares. The plane is crashing, the plane is on fire, the plane is crashing, the plane is on fire. He would look at movies about planes and he will be able, his father would say, well, that is a bomb. No, that's not a bomb. That's a so and so and so, whatever it might have been. He would be able to explain these World War II planes and say what they were at a very young age, till they found out that he was a reincarnation, Punarjanma, of a pilot whose name was also James, and whose plane had crashed and he died in the fire. So Punarjanma is real, and if we are coming back, if there is some essence of us which is beyond this physical body, which is our soul. Guruji Sant Keshav Das used to say the soul rests in a thumb size in our sacred heart center. That's where it is. And that microchip is containing so much RAM, so much memory, that is recording everything we do. So when that microchip is moved from one computer to the next one, because this one no longer works, it's carrying all of those memories with it. And Bhrigu is saying, you, Somakant, are like this. Now imagine, we live in our simple life, and we're trying to do the best that we can, and yet something happens and we cannot understand it. I never told a lie, you might say. I never hurt anybody. How do we explain it? There's a beautiful katha where Shivji Bhagwan and Parvati Mata are walking and they're seeing a little girl who's crying. And they're wondering why it is she's crying. She lost her parents. But how can that happen? Why is you so cruel to the little child? You don't know what she did in her last life. She now has to work it out. So all the bad things we might think that nobody's seen, we could get away with it, it register in here. And it's being kept there. Some of us might be lucky enough to work it out in this lifetime. And I'm saying lucky enough because we will then recognize, listen, I am having all of these difficulties maybe because of all those lies, so many people I lied to, so many people I cheated, so many things that I did wrong. Maybe now I'm seeing it come to pass. Others, however, will take Jannam, Punarapi Maranam, Puranapi Jananam, Punarapi Janani. The Bhaja Govindam tells us, life after life after life, we keep living and going through all of these things, suffering and hurting. And the answer is so simple. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudhamate. That is the Bhaja Govindam. Today we're talking about Ganesh Ji. But you would remember when we did the Atharva Shirsha on Sunday last. Tam Vishnustam, Indrastam, Agnistam, all of the forms are also part of Ganesh Ji, and Ganesh Ji is part of all of those forms. So they go on now to describe the beauty, the wonder of the Ganesh Ji Puran. But I will end here, this katha now, for this reason. I would like us to think about it. Think about us, think about our lives. If I am suffering for some reason, why am I suffering? Is it something I've done in this lifetime? Have I hurt someone? If I'm suffering now and I haven't done anything, then still, what am I to do? You are to do exactly as Bhrigu Rishi said to Somakant. You are to do exactly as you are doing here tonight. Come and listen to the Ganesh Puran. Come and listen to God's name. Remember, some time ago I'd sung this, what I said was probably one of my most favorite bhajans. Maili chadar odh ke kaise. I come before you with this dirty chadar, this dirty blanket. Dwar tumhare aau, he pavan Parameshwar mere. Pavan, purifying, Parameshwar. Man hi man sharmau. In my mind, I am ashamed for all of the things that I've done. I've come before you so dirty. Please purify me. That is what we are doing here tonight. We are coming here to be purified once again, to burn our bad karmas as best as we can. We still have to live out. There were a few Sundays earlier in this year when I spoke about karma, prarabdha karma, all of the different types of karma, what has to be worked out, what can be done. But the good thing is, we have all taken a positive step tonight to be here, to sing. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Shri Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Om Gam Ganapataye Namo Namah, Siddhi Vinayak Namo Namah, Ashta Vinayak Namo Namah, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Ganapati Bappa Moriya, Ganapati Bappa Moriya. Prem se bol Ganesh Bhagwan ki jai, and we have the health and strength to make sure that each of us come up and say Sitaram to him in person. Offer your love, offer your thoughts, good and bad, everything, offer it by him. And ask him to remove it. Ask him to bless us. Ask him to give us the strength to be good citizens and good people, loving, caring devotees of Bhagwan. There's a lot that he describes, Bhrigu Rishi then describes about the Ganeshji Puran. But tonight is our final night. That is something to read on the first night. But on the first night I wanted to read about the Dwarpal, because it was important for us to understand who is guarding our senses, who is guarding our mind, who is guarding our being and soul, and who are we allowing into that doorway. So with those, Prashantji will have a beautiful bhajan. We have a bhajan from from Didi. Okay, very good. Let's join together, sing together.
गौरी मैया की सुत बलवान की करे आरती गणेश भगवान की करे आरती गणेश भगवान
प्रेम से बोलो श्री गणेश भगवान की जय. Somakant, bathed in the glory of Ganesh ji with the blessing of Bhrigu, and he said, he gave the sankalp at that point. Henceforth, I will listen to the Puranas, to the stories of Ganesh ji in every form. And saying that, giving that sankalp, by the blessing of Bhrigu Rishi, all of his wounds began healing. All of the things that were in the wounds, and you can imagine what they were, fell off. And recognizing him, the king then said, through your favor and grace, and merely by me giving that sankalp, all of my anxiety, all of my desperation, all of my hopelessness that I had is now gone. I will now dedicate myself to listening to these kathas. May God bless each and every one of you, keep you strong, keep you healthy, keep you thirsty for the stories of God in all the different forms. Those stories, those kathas, they all reach to us and touch us in personal ways, in ways that we find for them to reach to us, because we find something that we hold on to in those kathas. We find hope, we find security, we find God, we find a pathway to God. Let us all stand now as we join in glorifying Sukhakarta, Dukharta, the giver of all happiness and the remover of all difficulties, Ganapati Swami. Sukhakarta, Dukharta, Varta, Vignachi, Nurvi, Purvi, Prema, Kripa, Jayachi, Sarvangi, Sundar, Udishendurachi, Kanti, Jhalke, Mal, Mukti, Palachi, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Mangal Murti, Darshan Matre Manu, Kamana Purti, Jai Dev, Jai Dev. Ratna Khachita Para Tuja Gauri Kumara, Chandana Chiti Kumkum Ketara, Hire Dadita Mukuta Shobha Tobara, Runasuna Tinupare, Charni Ghagariya, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Mangala Murti, Darshan Matre Mana Kamana Purti, Jai Dev, Jai Dev. Lambodar Pitambar Bhanivar Vandana, Sarsa Soni Vakra Sundar Trinayana, Sahasramatsa Vatpahe Sadana, Sankat Pavave Nirvani Rakshave Puravar Vardana, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Dev, Jai Mangala Murti, Darshan Matre Manu Kamana Purti, Jai Dev, Jai Dev. लाल चढ़ायो अच्छा गजमुख को, दोंदिर लाल विराजे सुत गौरी हर को, हाथ लिए कुजलद्धु साई सुरवर को, महिमा कहे न जाए लागत भूपर को, जय जय गणराज विद्या सुखदाता, धन्य तुम्हारो दर्शन मेरा मन रमता, जय देव, जय देव, जय देव, जय देव, जय मंगल मूर्ति, दर्शन मात्रे कामला पूर्ति, जय देव, जय देव। अष्टो सिद्धि दासी संकट को बैरी, विघ्न विनाशन मंगल मूरत अधिकारी, कोटि सूरत प्रकाश ऐसी छवि तेरी, गंधस्थल मद मस्तक धूले शशि विहरी, जय देव, जय देव, जय जय गणराज विद्या सुखदाता, धन्य तुम्हारो दर्शन मेरा मन रमता, जय देव, जय देव। भाव भक्ति से कोई शरणागत आवे, संतति संपत्ति सब ही भरपूर पावे, ऐसे तुम महाराज को अति भावे, गोसावी नंदन किस दिन गुण गावे। जय देव जय देव जय जय गणराज विद्या दाता, धन्य तुम्हारो दर्शन मेरा मन रमता। जय देव जय देव। हरिन्द्रोतांगम वनिंद चरणाधूलानि पाहि रूपा तुझे, प्रेम अलिंगन आनंद पूजे भावे उबालन मान्य नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव, त्वमेव बन्धु सखा त्वमेव, त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव, त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना भावं करोमि तद्यत् सकलफलस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि। अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणं दामोदरं वासुदेवं भजे। श्रीधरं माधवं गोपिका वल्लभं जानकी नायकं रामचन्द्रं भजे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे, हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। मोरिया रे ओ बप्पा मोरिया रे, 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 बप्पा मोरिया रे, बप्पा मोरिया रे। प्रेम से बोलो श्री गणेश भगवान की। गणानां त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे, कविं कवीनामुपमस्रवस्तमं, ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वन्युतिवीसीद साधनम्। ॐ यज्ञेन यज्ञम् अजन्तदेव, स्थानि धर्माणि प्रथमन्य आसन्, तेहनाकं महिमानः सचन्त यत्र, पूर्वे साद्या सन्ति देवाः। ॐ राजाधिराजा प्रसह्यये सहिने, नमो वयं वैश्रवणे कुर्महे। समे कामं कामकामाय मह्यं, कामेश्वरो वैश्रवणो दधातु। कुबेराय वैश्रवणाय महाराजाय नमः। ॐ स्वस्ति सम्राजं भोजं स्वराजं परमेष्ठं राजं महाराज मधीपतये मयं समन्तपार्या, यस्यात् सर्वभौम सर्व आयुष अन्तरपरार्धात्। पृथिव्यै समुद्रापर्यन्ताय एकारल इति, तरप्येषो श्लोक अभिगितो। मरुतः परिवेष्टरो मरुतः स्यावसङ्गृहे, अभीक्षितस्य कामर प्रेर विश्वे देवाः सभासद इति। ॐ एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि, तन्नो दन्ति प्रचोदयात्। ॐ एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि, तन्नो दन्ति प्रचोदयात्। ॐ एकदन्ताय विद्महे वक्रतुण्डाय धीमहि, तन्नो दन्ति प्रचोदयात्। आशीर्वाद। To all of you who have come today, may God's blessings be with you. May that divine water, as it touches upon you with the mantras that are to be recited, may it purify you, may it reach to your soul, may you be happy and peaceful. Shiva Hare Shiva Ram Sake Prabho, त्रिविधताप निवारनये विभो, अज जनेश्वर यादव पाहि मां, Shiva Hare Vijayam Kuru Me Varam. Shiva Hare Vijayam Kamalalocan Rama Dayanidhe Har Guru Gajarakshak Gopate Shivatano Bhava Shankar Pahima Shiva Hare Shiva Hare Vijayam Om Mangalam Bhagavan Vishnu Mangalam Garuradhwaja Mangalam Pundarikaksha Mangalayetano Hari Rigved Ayurved Samaved Hyatharvanaha Iti Mangalashtak Sampurna Ganga Jamuna Saraswati Sangame Phala Praptikamaha Jai Yajman Ashirvad Bhagwan Kalyan Karo Prabhu, everything that I can think of resides in you. Every relationship that I have emanates from you and returns to you. Prabhu, you are my mother, you are my father, you are my family, you are my friend, you are my knowledge, you are my wealth, you are my everything, Prabhu. I have gotten a chance to do puja to you, for you, with you, in your presence. Please guide me, protect me throughout the day and night. Look after my family. Look after for those in my family who are not feeling well. Look after, please, Prabhu, those in the community who are not well. And please shower us with your blessing. Instill in us your love, your consciousness, your protection, your being. Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Tvameva Bandhu Cha Sakha Tvameva Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Om Shanti 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 Hari प्रेम से वो श्री गणेश भगवान की, श्री नव दुर्गा देवी माता की, उमापति महादेव की, श्री वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की, श्री नव दुर्गा देवी मैया की, श्री पवन पुत्र हनुमान की, सर्वदेव सर्वदेवी की, सत्य सनातन धर्म की, सत्य सनातन धर्म की, सत्य सनातन धर्म की, सद्गुरु की दंडवत जय जय सीताराम सीताराम सब कोई. Please take your seats comfortably while I share these few words with you before you leave. Firstly, I wish to thank Pandit Ji for doing your puja and having everything on time with the bhav and with all of the dedication that we know that comes from you, from your heart. To the Shrotas who are here, let's give him. To the Shrotas who are here, may God bless you and your families. You again are leaders. We spoke about leadership yesterday. And just as how I don't like that word, the ladies group, I like the word Sri Sevak Sabha because it embodies exactly what is meant to be said when we speak of that group. And now you are part of the management of this mandir. May God continue to bless you. To Neela, how can I thank you for being here to give me support, and Ashtak and all of the others who have been here, Varun yesterday holding out, Prashant Ji, you helping my sister as well to carry the fort. adding that flavor, that love that comes from being at the feet of that Param Guru, that comes from you and your children, your Dulhina here. To everybody who has been here for every night, those who have come for one night, those who have come for two, those who have come for three, may God bless you and inspire you. And now is when the test comes. You thought you got away. I would like different people. I'm not going to call upon you. You can volunteer to say what you got out of this yajna. Which katha touched you the most? Which principle reached your heart the most? What is it that you would remember out of these 3 nights of reading and the 10 nights of puja that went as well? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but it is important for you to share your experience. I have shared my thoughts, but it is important for you to share your experience so that others who are here could see, but wait a minute, this is how Katha touches everyone. So without me having to call anyone, do I have any volunteers to stand and say what touched them the most? Because if you don't volunteer, you know I'll have to call you. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dindyal Bhai. Here's the microphone.
I loved yesterday's kata. To be a good leader, you have to be a good follower.
Yes.
I found that was very inspirational. So you get it from both sides. It reminds me of an Indian movie I saw once, Jodha Akbar, where the king was ruling from his kingdom, and she had him disguised as a normal person to go and see how his citizens lived, so that he could appreciate the entire kingdom, not only from the palace, but from on the ground. So I enjoyed that kata yesterday and the message that it brought. To be a good leader, you got to be a good follower.
Yes. And it's important for you to be, what's happening with the microphone? It's important to be a good person if you are to be a good leader. Anything else from the first night, the second night, the third night, tonight is the night, it's still fresh in our minds.
Panditji, I think the first night you used a term called Brajpal.
Dwarpal.
Dwarpal, sorry. Where you also use a term, Akanat Baba, meaning that I always have an excuse why I cannot support my Sanatana Dharma. Am I correct?
That's correct, you're
Yes,
right.
so,
You were listening.
So what I'm appealing to my Hindu brothers and sisters, we live in a very plural society in Trinidad. And you would find that, I mean, I traverse San Fernando on a Sunday morning. But when you look at the other societies in San Fernando, I won't call their names, but I do not see the principle of Brajpal, Dwarpal existing there.
Let me tell you how it is. Dwar means door, pal, person standing up by the door.
So what I'm appealing to my brothers and sisters here, the doors of this temple, we open it at 6 on a Sunday morning for our services, and don't allow yourself to make an excuse why you cannot enter the door. Because what you are really doing, you are creating a barrier. I think Pandit spoke about the barrier. You are creating, I think I spoke about the veil, right? You are putting a veil in front of yourself and your family. If you do not access that door, either the front door or the side door, sit around.
I remember that it touched you, that Dwarpal Kathas touched you.
Yes.
Anybody else would like to share what they thought was something that appealed to them? We're speaking as a family. Don't be scared. You don't have to speak on the mic if you don't want to. So tonight's katha, I had labeled it as, why do bad things happen to good people? Is there any other label we can put on tonight's katha? You reap what you sow. Very true. That is the Punarjanma. Say it after me, Punarjanma. So when we say reincarnation, that is what we're talking about, Punarjanma. So if we don't reap it in this lifetime, we will reap it at some point in time. If we get away, I use it driving on the shoulder. We might get away with driving on the shoulder, nobody catches us. But what we do in this lifetime, we will not get away with it. If we do positive things, we will be blessed. If we do negative things, we will not be blessed as much. So it's not as though it's forgotten. And you know, people, what happens when, man might sleep but God don't sleep? Which is true, unless... The important thing, however, is for you to understand that your soul is always awake. Your soul is always registering and moving forward with the sanskars, and moving forward with the impressions, and moving forward with the teachings. So what we do today, if we do it in private, and we say, nobody see me, I could do this. Your soul is witnessing it, God is witnessing it, and at some point in time, that will reap whatever type of benefit, positive or negative. So we reap what we sow. Didi? I agree with you 100%. And that was the theme coming through all the nights as well. There was some aspect of that as well. Okay, so I will close off at this point in time unless there's anyone who wishes to say anything. I tried every night to keep to 8:30. We finished at 8:30. I took an extra 10 minutes just to pass the test. See what happened with that. May God bless you, keep you strong, keep you safe, and keep you dedicated to His feet always. Prem se Shri Ganesh Bhagwan ki Jai.
Sitaram, dear devotees, I know Pandit helped me a lot by thanking some of the people who, help us
I
through
didn't
this.
mean to take your job. Yeah.
That's fine, that's fine. It made it a little easier. But I must say that we have to thank God for giving us this opportunity this year, because 2020 was my family and I alone, and Pandit was here with Anil. 2021 was similar. But we have to thank God that He gave us the opportunity this year that we could all come together and celebrate Ganesh Utsav how we really know it. So there are a lot of people to thank, and we'd like to start, from the beginning with the Gauri Mata Puja. We went to Donel to make our beautiful Murti. We brought it to the Mandir. And all the devotees who came for all the evenings, we'd like to thank you all very much for coming and making this a success. But first of all, I would like to thank Panditji, because, even from Sunday or earlier on, you started setting us up for these 3 nights. So every night we came, we were looking forward to your message. And it culminated tonight in a very wonderful way. And even though the king had his past karma, he was able to go to the forest and with the Swami was able to work it out and live a different life afterwards. So it gives us a lesson then that even though we have this karma with us, there are ways that we could deal with it and improve our lives. So that's what I got really, at the end of it all. And I love the part that, that you explain how, bad things happen to good people. Because we see it happening every day, little children, what happened to them, but we know that is a long story from the way back then. So we'd like to thank everyone. We have our technical crew, Mitra, Mala, and Amra. Let's give them a round of applause. They were here every night, doing a wonderful job. And Prasanth and his family, we always appreciate you here, Neela Didi, and the whole group. Let's give them a round of applause, too, man. I know Pandit already thanked our resident pundit here, but I can't really stand here and not say anything, because Pundit Rudy is our leader. He leads from in front. He's an exemplar. The amount of time that he puts into his work in the Mandir here, none of us could really thank him. So we ask God to bless him and his family, to really take care of him and his family so that he always be with us. Pundit, we really want to thank you. And to Anil and his Dolahen, a lot of work goes on here. When we come, we see the place well prepared and so on. They do a lot of work, Asha and Anil. Anil is there, the control there. Let's give them a round of applause. They do a very, very good job. And to all the devotees who help us make Parasad, who provided the meals and so on, and planned and packed them out so neatly. We'd like to thank you all, because without you all, this thing would be a success. We have a lot of members of management and their spouses who work behind the scenes. We have Ms. Renuka, who works very hard to help us coordinate. So we'd like to thank her and everyone else who helped in one way or the other. The ladies who came and prepared all the flowers, I saw them working so hard next door, and look how beautiful our altar looks. So if I miss out on anybody, we thank everybody. So that's it, and we have meals prepared. So make sure, you have something before you leave. And it doesn't end here tonight. Pandit Rudy will tell us what happens tomorrow, and he will guide us from here on.
Prem se bole Shri Ganesh Bhagwan ki jai. So please let us express our gratitude in our traditional way for Vyas, who is a sitting judge of the High Court. And I want to say that openly, because for young people in particular, you want to aspire towards not only being the best that you can be, but also to be the best that you can be in high positions in society where you can make a difference. And our Panditji is a very good example of that. So in our traditional way, let us express our appreciation. Shri Vyas Maharaj ki! Jai. A little bit louder than that. Shri Guru Maharaj ki! Jai. He was a wonderful, wonderful Vyas for our 3 nights in terms of delivering a katha and in a way in which we can relate. Tonight, I think, was very particular to me and very dear to me. Why do bad things happen to good people? Because even up to yesterday, that question was posed to me by a young man. Why is this happening to me? And this evening, the young man is not here, but I sent the link to the young man on the mobile phone. And I really do hope that that young man is looking on and listening to Panditji's message this evening, because I thought it fit all 4 corners of that situation, as it does to so many of us. And tonight, brothers and sisters, we all leave here with Mahaprasad, all of the wonderful katha and lessons, but it is incumbent upon each and every one of us to not just attend, to not just listen, but most importantly, the greatest tribute and the greatest devotion is to put what we've learned into practice. And I join the appeal of my chairman, Mr. Maharaj, in appealing to you to come back out to our mandir, to bring your family, bring your children, bring your grandchildren. Those who are looking on from at home, and I will say this openly, ask yourself, why did Kanat Baba make you not come to mandir for any night or any of the 3 nights? Ask yourself that question, and then answer whether it was a really good reason or not. This is the place to be. This is the place where you start your investment in your lives, in your children's lives. And so 10 years down the road, you will not be asking someone else to help me with my children. You would have made the investment and you will reap the rewards. So I'm appealing to all of you. The COVID pandemic is mitigating itself. We still have to do certain things. Please come to the mandir. Please join in satsang. Please give of your time so that we can help each other, lift each other. Tonight, as we conclude, you will all be invited. Those of you who've come prepared to Charhawi, I could be here all night. I have no need for much sleep. So we could take your time and you can make your offerings. But if you have to leave quickly, then just come up. Bhojan has been prepared. Tomorrow morning, we will have puja from 10 a.m. right here at the mandir. So if you can come, if work permits, Kanat Baba might preclude you tomorrow because Boss Baba might trump him. All right? So if you can come, please do join with us and we will have the Visarjan ceremony right here at the mandir. Again, because practical circumstances don't allow us to go either down to Flat Rock as we would have gone before, nor to go to Mosquito Creek because of the construction that's going on there. So we're doing it right here in a safe, secure, and in an environment in which you can focus on what you're doing. So please come, join with us at 10, and we will conclude by lunchtime, and you will have bhojan, and you can leave and go back to your places of work. Right? So this is our appeal, this is our wish. We look forward to seeing you all with us. We're having Navratri services starting, Panaji, from the 26th of this month, right after Pitrapaksh ends. We will start our Navratri services, and you're all invited to attend. Same format. You perform your puja to Devi Maya at that point. I bid you all a very pleasant good night, a very safe journey. Panaji offered the prayers. When you leave here, have a very safe journey to your respective destinations. Have a very powerful day tomorrow, a very productive day tomorrow, and be the exemplars that we are all meant to be in our community and in our country. Jai Sitaram, everyone.